Whenever you hear that theme song, you know it's time for the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show Series. How's everybody doing today? Welcome to the show. This is our Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show Series, bringing back the lost art of conversation. Always having a good time with all of you with those conversations and the interactivity we have with our viewers watching around the world, the lovelies that love to watch JMS. Hope you're having a good day. Busy day here. Of course, you know, it's the thick of the week. So we are on the air, radio, television, all the fun stuff that I do during the day professionally. Boy, do we have an amazing guest who's joining us from Los Angeles. Music legend, doo-wop music legend extraordinaire. We're so honored to have Norman Fox joining us. Of course, music legend, singer, songwriter. Matter of fact, he's working on some major projects right now. He's even working on his memoir. And you never know, he might even belt out a tune or two. You just don't know. Keep watching. He's excited to be here. We're honored to have him here, of course, from the legendary group Norman Fox and the Robroys. We're going to be talking about, of course, the iconic history and so much more. But first, good to have you with us. If you'd like to comment during the show while the show is on, you can do that by subscribing to our YouTube channel, which is Jim Masters TV, the channel that you're watching right now. And if you would like to do that, it doesn't cost anything. And you can actually comment in the Lovely Hall chat room. There's a little chat room to the side of the screen on the YouTube channel where you can actually participate and say hello to one another, say hello to us as well, and be a part of the show, be interactive with us, which is a rare thing these days, to be interactive and to be actually involved. Well, you can be when you subscribe to the YouTube channel. So we got a lot of cool things to talk about, and we're so excited to have you here. And yeah, I hope your day is going well. And we're going to dive right in because we have so many cool things to share with you. Of course, this is an iconic photo. This goes back in time, huh? You see Norman and the gang, and of course, still even performing today with the iteration of the group today. Here's another fantastic shot as well. I want to tell you a little bit about our iconic guest, but also just the whole group. I mean, the songs that you remember, look at these records. We did our homework. Pizza Pie, Dream Girl, Tell Me Why. Remember these great songs, Audrey? And these are just a few, gang. We're very excited to have Norman here. The group again, legendary. You may remember some of the other incredible folks we've had on our show: Melissa Manchester, Florence LaRue, Freda Payne. The voices of classic soul: Joel Peoples, Theo Peoples, Joel so Joel Coleman, that is, and Theo Peoples, and so many others. Yeah, there he is. He's our guest today on the show. You know, one of the earliest interracial quintets, Norman Fox and the Robroys, were one of the most underrated and overlooked groups to ever cut a 45, actually, with his distinctive lead voice. Norman Fox of the Bronx hooked up with DeWitt Clinton High School friends, Robert Thierer, a baritone, and Marshall Buzzy Helfand, and first tenor, and Andre Lilly, second tenor, back in '6 to form a dynamic mix. They practiced in the school's bathroom, at Norman's house on Henry Hudson Parkway, and at Robert Knolls' Crescent address, sharpening their sound on songs like the channels The Closer You Are and their own Tell Me Why, influenced by other groups like the Harptones and the Eldorados, the Cleftones, the Teenagers, and the Heartbeats. The Bronx Quintet developed their own unique sound. At the same time, the racially mixed Del-Vikings were getting together in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Early in 1957, Bob Trotman met Don Carter, a New York agent for the Duke Peacock organization, at Buddy's record shop at 167th Street in the Bronx in New York, and told him of the group. After a live audition in the very record store, the Bronx Boys found themselves contracted to the Texas-based record label. Originally called the Velvetones, they changed their name to the Robroys after the drink and recorded the first single for Peacock's newest backbeat affiliate back in April 1957 at Bell Sound Studios in New York. And that was, of course, Tell Me Why. It came out in the summer of 1957, and the single was received at the East Coast radio stations lovingly, particularly in New York and Philadelphia. And it was obvious that the gospel record company had no idea how to market a rock and roll record. The Robroys turned out to be Backbeat's first integrated group, and really an incredible story. They performed in some Harlem clubs to the surprise and delight of their patrons who were lucky enough to see them. And for the most part, they played New York area record hops with disc jockeys and many others. And they were waiting for their next record, Dance Girl Dance, to be released. Two singles, Norman established himself as one of rock's most excitingly identifiable leads. And in 58, this is going to tell you remember we had Tommy James of Tommy James and the Shondells on recently. He talked about some extraordinary things that happened in his career and how it all came to bear and how it came to pass. The story of Norman Fox and the Robroys is quite interesting as well. And rather than me go into all of it and give it all away, I want to welcome Norman to the show because he's got such an incredible story. And one of the most iconic lead voices of any group. There they are there, folks. This takes you back in time as well, huh? Absolutely. I see a lot of comments coming in to our Lovely Hole chat room. That's fantastic, everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm Jim Masters, your host. Let's welcome our very special guest, Norman Fox, coming to us from his home in Los Angeles, California. Norman, welcome to the show, my friend. It's so great to have you here.
Well, thank you, Jim. It's a pleasure to be with you. It's a it's a great show.
Thank you.
I looked at it. I turned it on a couple of times before I got on and got a great education about your chatter and your small talk ideas. I love it. It's just great. The art of small talk has to come back.
That's right. That art of conversation. A lot of people, they do interviews and all kinds of the usual stuff and in and out quick. And we like to have some nice, solid conversations and we bring people in and it's a beautiful thing. Then again, New York, we were born with the art of conversation, weren't we?
I think so. I moved out here about 13 years ago. But my roots are back in New York. I lived there most of my life. And when I go back, and I was just back about a week, 10 days ago, there's just such a wonderful feeling of vibrancy. When you go back to New York, it's just a wonderful thing. A wonderful thing.
There is definitely an East Coast energy that exists. This flow, this movement that just is a rhythm for sure. Absolutely. And I think what's great about it is it sort of primes you for wherever else you end up going around the world. There's just a certain understanding maybe of people and of life or something. Just something that's an interesting sensation. And I've traveled all around as you have, and it's really so amazing. You could be in some of the most remote places on earth, and you always end up coming across somebody from the New York area. As soon as they open the mouth, you can hear the accent.
Yeah, no matter how I try to lose my New York accent, the minute I meet somebody new, they tell me, you're from New York. You can't lose it. You just have it all your life.
It is there. Absolutely. Hey, let's talk about how things began for you, Norman. And again, it's a real pleasure. And we encourage folks to comment and say hello in our Lovely Hole chat room. It's good to have everybody watching around the world. The household there in New York City, was it filled with music? What were some of the early inspirations for you, even before you met the other guys and the group was sort of formed and put together?
Yeah, I went to during the summers. I went to summer camp, and I loved singing in different areas in summer camp, and I got into performing in the shows. Excuse me, and I realized that I had some sort of a voice, and people seemed to enjoy it. So that's my first inkling of how I started to sing and started to enjoy singing.
And how did you start to then express it? Because you can like it, you can enjoy it, but then you've got to sort of hone the skill, fine tune it, and then have a some sort of a path. So were you singing in school plays? Were you in band? Were you doing different things? How did it go early on as a kid for you?
When I was about 16 years old, maybe even younger than that, 15, excuse me.
Gets you all choked up going back
Yeah,
in time,
yeah,
doesn't it?
I'm choked up with nostalgia.
Yes.
So we went to high school and we heard about rock and roll music for the first time. Before that, it was all about pop music, Patti Page, K-Star, and people of that nature. Somebody told me to listen to a radio show that was on every night during the week. It was Alan Freed's show on WINS radio.
Oh, 10-10 wins.
And
Yes.
when I turned it on, I just fell in love with what he was doing. And I fell in love with the music that I heard. So it was a combination of so many different kinds of music, rhythm and blues and jazz and gospel. And he put it together and he called it rock and roll music. And that's how rock and roll music began and got its name. We were listening to that music and I loved it so much that I wanted to emulate the sounds that I was hearing on the radio. And
Yes.
so back in high school, I had some friends from my neighborhood and I had some friends that were in high school. We got together and we started singing and trying to harmonize in the boys' bathroom because there was an echo there. So everything sounded better. And sure enough, we interviewed people. One guy's voice was good, one guy's voice was not so good. We picked the best ones that we got, and we formed a vocal group. And we harmonized and we sang to these marvelous groups that were all part of Alan Freed's radio show and the songs that they sang on those shows. And that's how we started. And that's how we honed our voices. And so that's how it began.
Isn't that amazing? And were you being guided? Did you have mentors? Were there people that were sort of guiding you guys?
No, we didn't have any mentors. We did all of this on our own, but
Wow.
we were very aggressive and we knew we wanted to make a record because we wanted to become more popular and we wanted to get to be heard like those great groups that we were
Yes.
listening to, like the Cleftones, the Harptones, Frankie Lyman and the Teenagers, and so many of those fabulous stars from that time. We wanted to emulate and copy those sounds.
Mm.
And so we did, and we did sing in front of the assemblies, and we did sing in our neighborhoods on the street corners under the lights, as they all say. And one of the guys knew somebody. We got an interview with a record company at a record shop, and as you mentioned before, Buddy's record shop. It was so small that the whole group couldn't fit in there.
Yeah.
But we sang and they liked what they heard, so they brought the A&R people up, and that was the next interview at the record shop, and they gave us a record contract, and that's how we made our first record.
What was that experience like? Here you are, first record, opportunity there. The world has changed greatly in the way the music industry is and the record industry is now. But getting that information that you're going to be making that record and you got the deal, what was that like?
It was like walking on air.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was everything that we really wanted to do and everything that we strive for in our singing. So it was wonderful. And there was a thrill to go out there and have the recording and to have our first experience recording and to listen to it. And then when they released it, I mean, the biggest explosion of love was when we heard it on the radio. So it was all very, very thrilling, and it was a wonderful period of time for a group of teenagers who really didn't know a lot about a lot of things.
And all of a sudden, now you're thrust in the limelight, and people are starting to, starting to figure out who you guys are, and they're loving the sound and the songs, and they're starting to want more. And of course, there's Tell Me Why. They're wanting more from you guys, and
Well, Tell Me Why was the first record that we made. We
yeah, yeah.
actually did four recordings in that session. So it was Tell Me Why was not the first song that we did. It was actually the last song that we did. And it really, my voice was practically blown out. I think we did it in 13 takes.
Wow.
And I don't think that there was a 14th take in me. We got the 13 takes. I think they got it at that point, and that's the way that it worked.
How did that song, Tell Me Why, come to bear? How was that song, written, created?
It was written by Buzzy Helfand and myself. He came to me with a song that he wanted to, that he thought was good, but he didn't have it finished. And so he came to me with Tell Me Why, Why the Stars in the Sky. And we did that. And then we needed a second verse, which I wrote. And then we needed a bridge to bring it off before we had a saxophone break. Every record in those days had a saxophone break.
Yes.
And so we had the middle, the saxophone break, and then we came back into the bridge, and then we ended the song with another stanza. That was the structure of pretty much every song that was recorded in those days. And those songs basically had to be under 3 minutes. They did not want, because of the radio play and the amount of songs that were out, they only wanted songs that would last about under 3 minutes. And that's what we had to do. That's what we strive for. And so he came to me. Between the two of us, we got this song written together, and that's how it came about.
That's amazing. What's the songwriting process like for you? What are some of the things that inspire you to write?
So interesting. It's a great question. I guess it changed from the time I was a kid, because I'm still writing music, and I'm probably writing more music today than I wrote when I was a kid. But you get inspired by love, first love. You get inspired by other music that you fall into. You get inspired by rhythm. I found myself getting inspired by rhythm a great deal because I would walk and the rhythm would come into me, and then I would start to hum something and try to put a melody together with the rhythm that I was walking to. Another area where I found that I could get inspiration was from the subway. I used to take the subway from school, home, and then back. And so it was about 3/4 of an hour that I spent on the subway, and I would hear the rhythm of the clicks against the track, of the wheels against the track, and I would start to hum something and fall into something. And basically, that's the way it worked. I mean, without being too sophisticated in an answer, it was basically that.
Observing life and the things that were going on around you, right? The
Yeah,
sounds, the
yeah.
people, the experiences,
The food.
the food. Yeah. The food. You and Dean Martin.
We wrote a song called Pizza Pie because
Yes, you
we
did.
just love pizza pie. And I get stimulated by certain things. I thought it would be a great subject to write something about, and that song is pretty popular, and it seems to be attractive to kids, in
Oh
addition
yeah.
to the adult audience that I've had over the years. But when kids hear it for the first time, they really love it.
So tell us, was there a particular pizza shop you went to, or what was it that ended up in a song called Pizza Pie, which is a very New York thing too, anyway, pizza. Yeah,
Yes, we had a this was long before you could have a place on every corner in New York where you could buy a slice.
right.
You basically got pizza in Italian restaurants, and so that's where we used to go. And my Italian restaurant was in Riverdale, northern Riverdale, just before the Yonkers borderline. I forgot. I think it was called Candle something, but I don't remember exactly. And we used to go there pretty much every week or every weekend, and just love those pizza pies. And so I was stimulated, and I wanted to write a song about it, and I'm really really happy I did, because as trite and as simple as the song is, everybody knows it, and it's such a wonderful thing when people write to me and talk about pizza pie in a million different contexts. It's just lovely.
Which leads to, what kind of pizza is your favorite?
I'm not a sophisticated pizza eater. I like it as plain as I've always had it over the years. So I like it with a good sauce and a lot of cheese, but I don't like all of the added things on it. I don't like that.
Leave the anchovies off for Mr.
Yes.
Fox, please. Pass
You
on
put
that.
the anchovies into a Caesar salad.
Yes, not on his pizza, because he's gonna send that back. I tell you, that's funny. Another one too, Dream Girl, another great one. Tell us about this, the backstory on this one, Norman.
Um, Pizza Pie was a Capitol record, and we were going to cut four sides for Capitol as well. So Pizza Pie was supposed to be the A side, and we wrote a ballad for the B side, which was Dream Girl. And Dream Girl was just a beautiful song. And I wrote that on the subway, which I was referring to before. And I don't know that happened so fast, Jim. I was just sitting there and rocking back and forth to the rhythm of the train,
Mm.
and this ballad came into my head, and I tell you that the song was written very rapidly, and I didn't take a long time for the lyrics. So maybe in a couple of days, the song was done. It was the most natural song that I have ever written, and the fastest. I didn't have to think about lyrics or anything. It was all about this wonderful girl that I had not even known at the time. But apparently, she was the image of something that I was looking for. And so this song was a natural. And today, it's my biggest requested song. It's just a great song.
Actually, some of our viewers are talking about that they love that song so much. Why do you think the song resonates with people on the deep level that it does and has for such a long time, Norman?
Because I think it's a pure feeling, a pure common feeling that a lot of people understand. It's not a complicated. It's not telling a story. It's a hopeful thing that you find someone that you're looking for in a dream. Now there have been plenty of dream songs too, so they relate the same way that this does. Yeah, and it over the years it's become just a mainstay. And I'll tell you another thing, Jim. during the pandemic, we couldn't go into the studio
No.
and I couldn't get access to the things that I needed to write music. So I took the theme of Dream Girl and I wrote a song called The Anniversary Song. And I put that out on media. I put it out on mass media, and people just loved it. Hundreds of thousands of views, and they just loved it because it was a story of somebody finding their dream girl, and then 50 years later, they're celebrating an anniversary.
Wow.
And that's the theme that I wanted to get. And so when I do a show, I team those two songs up together and put them together, and it's just a beautiful sequence.
That's fantastic. That is really, really nice. And the shows, what are they like? What are they like today? And how are they different today than they were, back then when you're out there and you're doing your thing and you guys are knocking them dead on stage and everybody's just they're falling in love with love all over again.
That's another great question.
I'm 2 for 2.
Those shows, and I go back and tell you that in addition to Alan Freed's radio show, he got into doing these shows at the Brooklyn Paramount Theater that we all went to. And we didn't know how big this music was until you attended one of those shows because they had to close the streets. There were so many people and there was so much going on there. And as kids, we would come down from the Bronx and we would go to Alan Freed's rock and roll show at the Brooklyn Paramount and probably stay there all day because they would have 4 or 5 shows a day from noon until into the evening. And in the middle of those shows, they showed a movie like they did in those days. They used to show a movie and then they had a show. That's all of those New York theaters did that. The kids, we were enthused. We used to dance in the aisles and we used to sing along with these most wonderful vocal groups that I told you about before, the Heartbeats and the Cadillacs and Buddy Holly, and you can name anybody, Fats Domino. These people were all part of Alan Freed's rock and roll shows.
Incredible.
And so the energy was phenomenal, and people would be dancing in the aisle, and the rhythm was stupendous. Now, fast forward to today, those same fans are quite a bit older, and what I strive to do is to try to get them up to dance because I still have some rhythm and I love rhythm. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't work, but it's fun trying. I'll tell you that.
How do you describe the doo-wop feeling, the doo-wop sound, the doo-wop vibe, the doo-wop experience? There is something about it. I've seen through the years with my affiliation as a host on PBS, the love affair that people have for all of this genre, category, style of music, and how people feel so connected to it, even through the decades, through all the things that go on in our lives. They feel very attached to it. It's introduced to younger generations too, who like to hear that sound, real instruments. You're belting it out heartfully in a heartfelt way. What do you think it is about all of it that still really connects with people on levels that are deeper than just hearing the sound and the rhythm and the beat? There's something that goes well deeper where all these decades later, whenever there is a concert or a performance, sells out. PBS wants to do a special on it. It's just something that really runs deep for people. What do you think all of that is?
I think that it was original. It was the original rock and roll music. It changed the world. From that point, you have different genres in every decade. Every decade or every generation has its own music. But this was the music that started it. It was the beginning. And people were so overblown with this. It wasn't a continuation of anything, it was the inception, it was the first. And people were so loyal to it. And it became part of their lifestyle. It changed their lives, it changed the world. It was that magnet that brings people to it and has kept them in this music all their lives.
And then, of course, you've got Elvis in that realm as well, huh? Which really added to it, taking it to other heights as well, huh?
Absolutely. But Elvis changed the scope of the music from the original rock and roll
Yes.
to his sound.
Yeah.
And then it went further
Yeah.
when the Beatles came in and brought in the British invasion.
Right.
So it all was part of it. And it's all, they call it all rock and roll. But if you look, and I did some research on the amount of different categories in rock and roll, there are hundreds.
There are, yes.
So eventually, what happened, we were relegated to be called doo-wop. And it's okay. I'm not offended by it. But in where I sit right now, I want to keep the original music alive as long as I can. That's my goal.
Absolutely, yes. And what are some of the ways that you go about doing that, Norman?
Well, we do it at the shows that we attend. I do it on social media a lot. Um, and I try to bring people in and new fans to the music. You know, an interesting situation is that we went to Europe and we did a couple of shows in Spain and Barcelona. And there isn't anybody in that audience that I can remember that was over 40. This was a young audience.
Young group,
and
right?
they really appreciated the music, and it was wonderful. It was just wonderful to see that. And it's worldwide. And I get letters from Japan, and I get letters, and they have vocal groups that emulate the Robroys and the Cleftones and the Harptones and people in Japan, which I found fascinating.
That's incredible. It's just amazing, right? You never realize sometimes the lives you touch, the scope and the breadth of it until experiences like that actually happen. And you're like, wow, we made a difference and it went beyond the tri-state area.
It's just thrilling. It's just thrilling.
Of course, I mentioned the derivation of the name and the Robroys dedicated to the drink. How did that all come about with the drink and the Robroys, the name, the whole thing?
We were originally called the Velvetones.
Yeah.
And when we signed with the record company, they just felt that there were too many tone groups around, like the Cleftones, the Harptones. There was just many tones. There were also car groups like the Cadillacs and the Eldorados. I mean, you know, people are creative in a lot of different ways, and this is what they do. So they wanted us to change the name. I had heard and had, you know, gone to some affairs and parties where I heard the name Rob Roy. And I had heard it for the first time. I thought that it was really a very catchy name. And the drink, I don't know if you know, or your viewers know what it is. It's Scotch and vermouth, and it's called a Rob Roy. It's similar to a martini, where you have vodka and you have gin, but it's a different mixture. And I liked the name. I liked it very much. So when they told us to change the name, and or they asked us to change the name. And we went back and started to just knock heads together and see what we could come up with. I came up with the name Robroys. Everybody seemed to like it. They all got excited all of a sudden, and that's how we became the Robroys. We submitted it to the record company, and they loved it.
Do you like the drink?
You know, I don't drink the drink. I drink martinis, but but you know something, I haven't had a lot of Robroys, and maybe I'm going to go back now. We'll give it a shot.
After this, right after this conversation, I think you have earned it with
Right.
all these decades of music. Still out performing, like you said. You guys are still doing your thing, but you're writing a memoir. What's that process like for you, Norman?
You know,
Wow.
it's not easy.
No.
Not easy for me. But my son asked me to do it. And I said, well, who's interested in my memoir? Who's interested? Nobody would be interested. He says, do it for me. He says, I'm interested.
Wow.
I had a very, very interesting.
That's a fantastic comment, isn't it?
Yeah.
For your son to say that?
Yeah. Well, you know, my son, and I have to tell you this, I'm very proud of him.
Yeah.
As much as I'm an old doo-wop rock and roller, my son is a classical musician. And he started off in a rock and roll band, but he's very educated, and he had his debut at Carnegie Hall a couple of weeks ago, Jim.
Oh my God.
He has his own orchestra in
What's the name of it?
It's called Clarion Music Society.
Oh, fantastic.
Clarion.org.
We'll keep an eye on that.
And he also is the principal conductor and director of music at the National Cathedral in Washington, D.C.
Oh boy. Wow.
And he's associated with the New York Philharmonic, and he's associated with the Baltimore Symphony. So he's a major leaguer.
Yes.
So he wanted me to, he appreciates rock music. He really does. And we have a lot of fun together. But that's when I always tell him, we have an argument. I always win the argument because I say, roll over Beethoven.
and that's it. That's all it takes. Right. So how far into the memoir are you now, Norman?
Oh, I have a lot of categories to write. I have a lot of categories that I did write. My life is not only about music. Before I retired, I was a clothing manufacturer, and I traveled all over the world manufacturing clothing to some pretty crazy places. I was in Russia when the Soviet Union collapsed. I was in Central America when the left-wing insurgency was in El Salvador and Guatemala. Sometimes I was in the midst of firefights there. I mean, it was crazy stuff. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting things that I want to write about.
Yes.
And so the music is a part of it, no question, but there are other parts of it as well. And so there's a lot to write about. Maybe I have 100, 150 pages, but you know, I need to get somebody to come in and to go through it. We have to pull out the good parts, but I'm interested in doing it. It's fun.
Back in 1962, you left for the Army, right? Right after one of the sessions.
You know, it was a crazy situation. We had bad experiences. We never got paid from the original record company, Backbeat. So we got a contract to go to Capitol Records, which I was thrilled about. We went to Capitol Records, and we didn't get all we should have gotten there. It wasn't well, and we finished, and they dropped us and whatever. Maybe we did 4 or 6 sides for them. Then we got a contract from a guy named Bobby Shad, who worked for Mercury for many years. And Bobby had a record company, and I don't know whether you remember, Jim, but the first stereo records that came out, they used to ping pong the sound between the two speakers.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he made his money at Time Records.
Yes.
So he asked us to come. He wanted to cut a couple of sides with us. And we did. But it was the day that I was going into the Army. So we cut them in the morning. We went to the studio. We recorded in the morning. I think it was four or 6 sides. And then I got on the bus and I went to Fort Dix, New Jersey. That was
Yes.
my
Fort
day.
Dix. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
nothing ever happened with those records.
Right.
He never put them out. But that was an experience.
My father gave me, I remember listening to Sylvania, Zenith, Magnavox records they would use to demonstrate the stereo systems. And you would have that ping pong sound to hear the fidelity, to hear the fact that it's separated sound and stereo. And there's some of those demo, and there were fantastic songs on there. And some of those demos, those records used by the television companies were terrific.
Absolutely. He made a lot of money with that.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. It was an ingenious idea.
People were fascinated with the fact that sound was coming from different areas. And that was just fabulous.
You guys were also, too, one of the earliest interracial quintets as well of the time, which was definitely groundbreaking. Tell us about that.
We didn't do it on purpose.
Right.
We were looking to get the best sound that we possibly could. And we were emulating the rock and roll groups, which were all black. We wanted that sound. We wanted to get the black sound. And so when we interviewed at school, we got Bobby Trotman, who's the guy closest to the bottom behind me. And then on top, just before, is Andre Lilly. We got very lucky. These 2 guys were with a group called the Harmoniers, and that group broke up, and then they came with the Robroys. And they were both students at DeWitt Clinton, where we were all students. I don't know how it happened, and it probably happened by accident. But that background, those boys were fabulous. The 4 of them had harmony that was incredibly different and unique and unbelievable as far as I was concerned. I thought they were phenomenal. And apparently a lot of people did too.
That's incredible. It really is, and sometimes when you blend, you make magic, right?
Yeah.
It
sometimes you don't know what you're blending and you get lucky. I think that's what happened with us. We really got lucky. This was a melding group. It was just wonderful.
Exactly, which again is something that stood the test of time for such a long time as well. In the 80s, a couple of ardent collector dealers happened upon 2 sides that you guys had cut for Capitol that were never released, Lover Doll and That's Love.
Right.
And one that you had done in 74, Rainy Day Bells. They turned them into singles on bogus backbeat labels, and a third backbeat issue, Do Re Mi, which was spirited from the Robroys sides, came out in 1990 in the collector's market, huh?
Correct.
Wow.
Yeah. And I put them all into a CD. So they're all in a major CD, all of those wonderful songs. And listen, anybody that wants them, they can come to my website and buy them. They're relatively inexpensive, but they're fabulous, and it would be wonderful. NormanFoxandTheRobroys.com.
You got it right there. Yeah, that's it. That is cool. So yeah, folks want to get the music. It's definitely there, and I think that's great too. What's it like still? When you haven't done it, recently because you're working on the memoir, but writing, continuing to write, like you said, that you're in the midst of great projects where you're writing a lot of songs too.
Yeah, you when you're young and in love, you get your inspiration to write love songs. When you're older and you're more, I don't know how to say it politely, you're more staid in your life. It's hard to get the inspiration. I guess you could get it from a sunset. You could get it from looking at a tree. You could get it from a number of places, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as first love.
Mm,
That's something that happens once in your life, and it moves you tremendously. So most of the songs that I think people write are inspired by love.
yes.
Um, I am inspired by different things, and I'm writing songs about those subjects, the things that inspire me, that I when I go around sunsets and beautiful things and beautiful gardens and things of that nature, and things that that are common that people feel about. So that's what I do, and I'm finding that kind of inspiration and enjoying it immensely.
That's a fantastic thing. Kathleen Walker, who's in New York City, she's over in Queens, says, do you have a favorite place you have performed at? And where would you like to play and perform?
Huh. You know, I perform in a number of different places. I have over the years. I have a favorite place in New Jersey that I find that I love to perform in. It's called the Count Basie Theater.
I knew you were going to say that. Isn't that a great place?
Yes. And it's in Red Bank, New Jersey, where Basie was born. Now, I knew Basie because I recorded for Capitol Records, but I also worked for Capitol Records in a position of being the assistant to the studio director, and I met many of the big recording stars over the years, and I was in the studio when a lot of them made their major records. But Basie was a terrific guy, and the band was very unusual. And they had a lot of heart, and Basie was a businessman as much as he was a great musician. And I always used to see him outside the studio during the sessions. He would be on the phone with different venues around the country trying to book the band. This was a big band, and it had a lot of mouths to feed. And he was constantly on the phone trying to book the band. And I liked Basie very much, and I had some interaction with him. And so I enjoyed going to Red Bank and being in that theater because it makes me feel like I'm close to Basie. I tell the audience whenever I do it, I tell them the story with Basie, and so it's a terrific thing.
It was another great place too, but it's no longer, unfortunately. Right in the city in Manhattan was BB King's.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I never performed at BB King's, but it was a fabulous venue, and I'm sorry to see that it's not there anymore.
Right. Yeah. No longer there. Who are some of the other folks you mentioned knowing Count Basie? Who are some of the other folks over the years that you got a chance to work with, collaborate with, perform with, or just chat with over the years?
Well, my favorite, who I knew at Capitol Records and I became quite close to there, was Nat King Cole.
Mm,
He came in at the time when stereo came in to record all his old hits in stereo. So he spent quite a bit of time, and I got to know him quite well. He was a lovely man
yeah.
and a great artist. and nobody who I ever met wore their fame as comfortable as Nat King Cole did. I met Ray Charles,
Mm,
and I was in the studio when Ray Charles recorded Georgia on My Mind.
mm.
Now, they didn't put it out for 9 months after it was recorded because it was part of an album. The album was called The Genius Hits the Road. And so he had all of these state songs on there, Deep in the Heart of Texas, I'm Alabama Bound, songs of that nature from the different states. And one of them was Georgia on My Mind. But Georgia on My Mind just blew me away. I
Yeah.
couldn't stop listening to it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering when they were going to release it. And it was the first one that they were released when he went to ABC Paramount Records. And of course, it went straight to number one.
Yeah.
And it was a marvelous experience. I was there when Bobby Rydell recorded Volare. So many people. As I said, Count Basie, Joe Williams, Sarah Vaughan, when she
Oh,
recorded
yeah.
her big songs.
Fats
And
Domino?
Fats Domino never recorded at that studio in New York.
Yeah.
So I never got a chance to meet him.
So it was a lot of the folks that were coming through the studio that you got a chance to chat with, huh?
Yeah. One of them was Jackie Gleason.
Oh,
And
yes.
Jackie Gleason was an interesting guy
Mm-hmm.
because he had no musical ability, but he loved music. And I don't know if you remember, Jim. He had a record that was number one album way back in the '60s. It was called Music for Lovers Only.
Yeah.
And he did not have anything to do musically with that except to tell his conductor exactly how he wanted it played.
Right.
And that was a major, major record.
Yeah, he sold a lot of those albums of the beautiful, easy listening orchestral sounds.
And he was
Yes.
a terrific guy. He was a terrific guy. I
Jackie
liked him
Gleason.
very much. Yes.
Mm.
Now, there's one more story that I need to tell you about Capitol, because if you remember the 2,000-year-old record that Carl Reiner and Mel Brooks made.
Oh, yes.
Well, they made that at the studio, and they needed a live studio.
2,000-year-old man. Yeah.
They asked me to bring in my friends. So I brought in a lot of friends. They had a live studio audience there. I met Mel Brooks a number of times and Carl Reiner, lovely, lovely people. But because it was a spontaneous record, they had to go through hours and hours and hours in order to get the laughs that they needed to get to fill up that whole LP record. But that was very, very interesting, and I loved every minute of it.
Isn't that incredible? Did you have you toyed with other genres of music in either performance or in songwriting? And did you get into writing material at all for commercials, jingles, films, things of that nature as well?
I toyed with other genres of music. The answer is yes. I love to sing all kinds of music. I love to sing big band music, but that's not what I get paid for. I get paid for singing doo-wop rock and roll music. But I do like those things, and it's just a lot of fun to do it and write your music. And I'm writing a lot of music now, and I want to do a blues song that I'm in the process of writing now, and it's called Red, White, and Blues. I'll send it to you when it's finished.
Oh, I love that idea. Yeah.
And yeah, I'm going to record it very soon, and I'm going to send it to you when it's finished. And I think you're going to like it. I love it, and it's almost done.
That's fantastic. That's great. I can't wait to hear that. That's going to be something. When did you first get the inspiration for it?
I don't know. You get them, I told you, I get them from life's things that happen.
Do you
You know,
sing in the shower?
I sing everywhere. I sing everywhere.
Good acoustics in the shower
Yeah,
too.
I love to sing. I just love to sing. So yes, yeah, I get them from a lot of different places. It's hard to just pinpoint. One, if I get a somebody says something and it hits me that it's meaningful,
Yeah.
I'll put it into my phone and I'll come back and I'll see if it's meaningful for me to write something
Mhm.
about. That's where I am today.
A lot of groups and individual performers have done holiday music, Christmas music as well.
Right.
Something over the years as well, thinking about?
I would love to do it. I really would. I haven't gotten there yet, but it's certainly I'd like to focus on it.
Yeah, yeah, because there's something about that too. And when you hear it, it's just, have you thought of writing a song of your
Mhm.
own? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. That's great. That's
I
fantastic.
don't have an inspiration yet, so I can't tell you anything about it, but I'll be sure you'll be the first to know once I get the inspiration. I'll tell you when I'm writing it.
Absolutely. You may have to go up to the North Pole or something
Maybe, yeah.
alone,
I
and
need some snow.
you
Is there
got to
haven't
get
been
some
much
snow.
snow,
And
yeah.
that is funny. That's incredible. Um, Obviously, the industry, like I said earlier, has changed greatly. How are some of the ways that you've seen it evolve and change from when you guys were first getting in?
Well, first of all, it's much stronger. So that any artist today that puts out a record, there are so many different vehicles for that artist to get paid. So it makes it a legitimate business. Now, I didn't stay in the business because I couldn't. I never got paid. And so I had to go get somewhere where I could get paid. Now, I went back to doing shows during my lifetime, but I never really was in it full time. And now that I'm retired, of course I am. But in
Right.
those days, I couldn't do it. And I think that that's the wonderful thing about these protective organizations today, like ASCAP and BMI and whatever those agencies are
Hmm.
that handle all of it. They protect the artists and their royalties, and they have to be protected. It's a terrific thing.
Mm, yeah. Like you said, yeah, there's all these platforms now, the Spotify's and all these places where people, Apple, iTunes, everything,
Correct.
where you can have the music out there. And some people even have formed their own record companies or their own labels.
Sure, of course, you can do that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
which is something, unique to the industry as well. Are you going to get back out? You guys going to tour again? Is that a
Yes,
hope?
sure. We do shows from time to time. I did some shows in New York a few months ago in the area. We did PNC Bank Center out
Yeah.
in the off the Garden State Parkway in New
Hmm.
Jersey. As I said, I come back all the time and do Count Basie. I'm going to do in December. I'm doing Westbury
Theater
in
in the Round.
so yeah,
Yes.
we do it. I just came off a cruise. I work, but I'm not going to be a workaholic. I'm not at this stage in my life. I don't want to do that. But I pick and choose what I like, and I do it at my leisure. It's a lot of fun.
What's it like when the fans come up to you, whether it's on one of those cruises or just in general in life, and they start pouring out to you how much the music that you are responsible for and the guys are responsible for over the years has touched their lives, has been something that they've carried with them all these years. That must be an extraordinary feeling.
It's a phenomenal feeling. It's phenomenal. I just love the people. I'm connected to those people. It's just a marvelous feeling to know that you did something that moved someone.
Absolutely right. Yes. And when you talk about legendary. It's kind of and it's something that sort of evolves on its own. You don't start out saying, okay, we're going to be legends. It's going to be a legendary group. I'm going to be a legend. Some of those things, as time passes and the experiences happen and the accolades come and all of these things, it turns into that, which is quite extraordinary. And the longevity, you know what I mean? That's something.
Yeah.
It's such a disposable society. Here you guys are, you're still out doing your thing, which I think is fantastic.
Well, thank you. We unfortunately lost a couple of members
Yeah.
of our group, and that's always a heart-wrenching thing. You know,
Yes. They're
I
like brothers. Yeah.
yeah, they're like brothers. They're very, very close. And, as we lose our stars and as we get to certain ages and we lose them, um, it's a real loss because your audience is part of the music and they're part of us, they're part of our family, and we're part of their family through what we create. So yeah, it's tough, and I empathize with a lot of them, and we chat a lot about our situations, and
Yeah.
I'm always available for fans to write me or call me and on Facebook and Norman Fox. nfoxrobroy.com is my email address.
There's been so many that we've lost as well, like you say. And Ronnie Spector, who was actually a dear family friend of ours, only about
Fabulous woman.
a year or so. Did you have an opportunity to
Yes, I
know
did
her?
work with her in a couple of places, but the biggest place that we worked was the 20th anniversary of CBS FM at Radio City Music Hall. And I worked with Ronnie back then, and they were delightful, and everybody was on that show. It was just a wonderful, wonderful show.
Different genre of music, but we lost Tina Turner today,
Correct.
and
I saw
everybody's
Tina.
you up? What
I saw her
you
at the
did?
Brooklyn Paramount. She was at
You
one of
did.
Alan Freed's show when
Yeah.
she was with the original band,
Yeah.
and with Ike Turner. She was a fabulous, fabulous show person and a great entertainer and a wonderful individual. Very sorry. She's a great loss to all of us.
Yes, there's an outpouring of support happening today. You can see it around the world. 83 is a young age, and
Yeah.
that's why you have to savor every single day. When you look at the experiences you've had and your life and the things you're still doing today and the connections that you have to people and to the music, what are some of those um, moments that stand out for you, Norman, that are some of your personal favorites?
Well, as I said, my time at Capitol Records was outstanding. I met everybody and anybody. Um, I have some wonderful friends that I tour with, that we do the shows with. Jay Siegel and the Tokens, a couple of the original Tokens that lived out here in California, the Margot brothers that I was friendly with. Um, there were so many different people that I like a lot, and and they're just wonderful. It, the Clovers, uh, they're just wonderful. This wonderful Harold is in his 90s and he's still performing. You talk about a number of different groups that are way up there. I remember the Harptones, Willie Winfield. He passed away last year, but Willie was a very, very close friend of mine over the years, and he performed into his 90s. And that's a wonderful thing, that people are able to do that. And so, yeah, we just hope that it, continues and I'm able to do it. I just get a kick out of singing and a kick out of performing. and the whole music business is just a joy to me.
You were saying you miss the East Coast in certain ways, huh?
You know, I do. I can't tell you that I miss living in New York. I lived in New York all my life. And as you can tell, I say New York, which is what they keep telling me out here. But
That's fantastic.
right. But there's a good lifestyle out here. I love living in Los Angeles. There are many, many, many New Yorkers out here,
Yes.
and it's wonderful, to be, to see them. It's
Yeah.
great to go back, but I don't know whether I could live there anymore, to be quite honest with you.
Did you ever come across out in LA Charles Fox, the prolific composer?
Well, yes, I know of Charles Fox. We've never met, but he also went to DeWitt Clinton, the same high school that I went. My father's name was Charles. I think we have a lot in common. I think I'd like to meet him.
Yeah, he was just recognized, I think, this past week for his contributions to music and so many theme songs too.
Right, right.
The Love Boat, Love American Style. I mean, all of that. Did you ever delve in any of that world? Film,
No,
television,
I didn't.
commercials,
No,
jingles, singing jingles? That
no,
was a big thing.
no, I didn't. I haven't done that. It was a big thing. I didn't
Yeah.
do
Yeah. Not yet, right?
it. Not
You know,
yet. You never
he's
know.
working on a
Yeah,
film score right now, but he just can't tell us.
right.
That is, did you want to share any of your dulcet tones with our fabulous audience that's
Oh,
watching
sure.
and
Well, let me let
praising?
me let me do a couple of things from Dream Girl, which is
Oh, yeah,
everybody seems to be everybody's favorite song.
they're saying that. Yes.
Dream Girl, can't wait to close up my eyes. 'Cause when I do, you're just standing there. I touch your hair, I gaze into your eyes. Won't you be my dream girl? Make my life a delight. When I go to sleep, I put my head on my pillow and try to drift away. But whenever it seems I'm right on the beam, you're creeping right into my every dream. Dream girl, I know I'm not very smart, but there is one thing I can't conceal. My love is real. You're breaking up my heart. Won't you be my dream girl? I loved you right from the start. How's that?
Wow, how's that? You've passed the test. Sign him up. I think he's got some promise here. That was fantastic. Thanks so much for
Mhm.
doing that. You brought back so many memories, as people are saying. Somebody else that also thoroughly enjoyed that, Mr. George Burns, is in the house.
Thank you, George.
George always pops in and sends his regards. My aunt collected dolls in Connecticut, and it got passed down to me. And he's one of those real collectibles. She had a room in her house designated just for these thousands of dollars worth of dolls. He's here, and he's just blown away by the memories with a cigar and his martini below. Maybe I think it's a Rob Roy down below. And he sends his best as well. And when you look at everything, you mentioned your son, and of course, family and friends are really the heart of the matter. What are some of those continued blessings and joys in your life, Norman Fox, that keep you doing what you do so beautifully for all of us?
Well, I have a daughter, lives here in California. She was the first female artist signed to DreamWorks when they went into business. but she didn't like the business and she got out of it. She has a fabulous voice. And through her, I have a couple of grandchildren that I spend some time with and I enjoy very much. I'm a widower. I lost my wife about 13 years ago, and I moved out here to California, and I met a woman who I remarried. Her name is Karen, and she makes my life interesting and delightful in a lot of different ways. And she has four grandchildren. So my family is important. And I think at this stage of my life, they give me love, inspiration, and a level of comfort that I never had before. So that's where I get that's where I get my solace.
That is so beautiful, beautifully said, right? It all comes back to the basics and, what's really, really important in life.
Absolutely.
And, it seems like through it all, you've had that sense, right? Because there's a lot of folks who are in these public figure arenas, and sometimes life sort of overwhelms them and they fall off a cliff. You seem to have a way of keeping the train on the track as best as possible and moving forward, which is a beautiful thing and inspiring for others wanting to go into these kinds of businesses.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm older and I'm mature. And I was in other businesses, and I had to work very hard at those businesses and got my butt kicked a lot. So I became humble and I learned to appreciate the humility of everything that I do. And now that when I get some fame and people call me and talk to me and interview me and ask me about things, to me they're the best. I'm humble with them, and for somebody to give you love, I think is the greatest honor that you can have, whether it be through your music, whether it be through your self being, or any other way. But to get love is the greatest honor of all.
And then there's another level of that, and it's called Lovity. And the viewers have already said that Norman Fox is a Jim Master Show Lovity. How cool is that?
I, that's the best. It's just
It's
wonderful.
like you can get Grammys and Tonys and Tellys and Emmys and Academy Awards and all these great things.
But not
Peabody,
everybody can get a
it's
lovity.
Lovity, right? See?
That's right.
Well, you've been blessing so many over the years, Norman, with your music and with just the kind of person that you are, really appreciating it all and being very cognizant of it and, you know, being gracious and grateful are important. And it's obvious that you have been and continue to be. And you're writing about it with the memoir, you're continuing to pen the music, still delivering the music, still savoring all the great music and the hits of then and connecting it all to now. And it's a wonderful bridge. And this really has been a terrific conversation. I hope that you enjoyed the time with me as much as I have with you, and the show met whatever expectations you might have had, my friend.
Let me tell you, the show has exceeded any expectations that I had. This was really a lot of fun. You are terrific. And I wish you tremendous success. I hope that you really explode with this thing because I really enjoyed it. I've been interviewed by a lot of people. This is number one.
I appreciate that. My father has always said, I don't know if you heard me say this on other episodes you've watched. This is information that my father grew up in New York City as well, Astoria, and 2 blocks from Tony Bennett. And I grew up out east on Long Island. And I remember even at as early as 7, 8 years old, dad always giving adult like advice about life and surviving life and appreciating life and the things that you will deal with as you get older in life. And one of the things that he said that still is there, and still says, and that's still something of great importance to me. And it's just one of the lines that it's a funny line, but it has always stuck with me. And it ties into those beautiful words that you just shared, Norman. He says, uh, Jim, whenever anybody says something kind or nice to you, ask them to please put it in writing and address it management.
I'll do that. I just have to know who the management is.
With this show, you're looking at him.
Okay, great.
That's it. With this show, it is the name on the door. The like with Norman Fox and the Robroys, the buck stops here with this one.
That's great. That's great.
This was fantastic, and we'd be remiss if we did not also bring in and thank our fabulous mutual friend, Elaine Ballas. She is extraordinary. How did you meet her?
I never met Elaine, but
Wow.
she is a friend of mine. I plan on meeting her very shortly.
Yes, she's
but
amazing.
My friend John Terralezzi has been in contact with her, and he has asked me. I've been traveling a lot. He's asked me to contact her, and then when she got this your show for me,
Yeah,
I was going to call her this morning, but now I'm going to call her right after the show and tell her how much I enjoyed it and to thank her very much for making the connection.
I appreciate that. Yeah, she's a dear friend, a blessing. She's been on the show several times. She's a big supporter of what we're doing here. Like I say, we're bringing back the lost art of conversation, kind of like Dick Cavett and Carson and some of the legends with a modern vibe, modern twist blended in, different than a typical interview show. That's why I call them conversations, because they're really free
Absolutely
flowing.
love it. Yeah, it's
You
great.
you didn't know what I was going to ask. There were no pre-scripted
Correct.
questions, and you sang a little. All the audience commenting, "What a wonderful, or what a great voice! Wonderful." Jane watching in Sweden, Merlin in Ontario, Canada. Some of our regular faithful lovelies here that love to comment. This has been a lovely conversation. Thank you, Norman. Austin Fields says that is some beautiful singing. Bravo, that was fabulous. Thank you, heart, heart, heart. Joan Sando, thanks, Jim and Norman. Thank you so much. Maureen in Arizona. Norman, you are absolutely incredible. Now, Maureen,
Thank
make
you
sure you put that in writing and address it management. Thank you so much for sharing your story of your road to success. Keep on making that beautiful music. Lovely hugs to you from Maureen in Arizona. Sherry Larson, Kansas says, thank you for being with us tonight, Norman. I'll check out the music and the early music as well. Patty is here. Patty McGill. Thank you, Jim and Norman. She has seen you perform. She has a lot of music of yours.
Patty is a good friend of mine.
Yeah, so she was commenting throughout as well. Welcome to Lovely Hall and the Jim Masters Show, Patty. I hope you join us regularly. Once you're in, Patty, you're in. You're now at JMS Lovely. Kathleen in New York City. Thank you for being here, Norman. Loved listening to your wonderful stories. Thanks for sharing your life with us. Just some of our viewers and lovelies who have been touched by this terrific conversation. There's the website again, Norman Fox and the Robroys.com. Check it all out. Beautiful, beautiful website. Really colorful gallery of photos over the years, video, historical, archival stuff, new news, and a lot of other things. And we're going to have you back when that memoir is out. We're going to keep that porch light on for you, if not sooner, my friend.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
This has been a blessing. If we were both in the New York area together right now, the slice would be on me.
I'm going to take you up on that when I come to New York. Okay.
That's it. Maybe I'll even upgrade and we'll do a pizza pie.
Okay, terrific.
You be well, my friend. Spread the word about our show like all the guests and everybody does. If you know folks you'd like to see on our show, feel free to let us know. We'll welcome them on as well. And I really appreciate that. And thanks for all the time, my friend. We said we chat maybe about an hour. We did about an hour 20. Not bad, huh?
Oh, It
It does
flew by. I didn't know it.
in a New York minute.
Thank
Norman,
you so much.
thanks. Continued blessings to you. Let's stay in touch, my friend, and we'll
Okay.
chat again soon, okay?
Thank you so much,
You be
Jim.
well.
Take care of yourself. Bye bye.
You as well. You as well. Go have a Rob Roy now.
Absolutely, that's where I'm heading.
You've earned it. Take care.
Bye bye.
Norman Fox, the legendary music legend, singer, songwriter extraordinaire, great guy, very affable, funny, and talented, and real and open and authentic. That's what we do here at the Jim Masters Show Live Entertainment Lifestyle Celebrity Talk Show series, telling you some of the backstory behind the scenes of how the group was started. Even before the group was started, how he even got into music and some of the inspirations. They do still perform. They're still out there doing their thing. He's in the midst of writing his memoir right now, but he's writing lots of music, has continued to. And what great backstories about the guys, how the group came together, the love for one another, like brothers, truly. And, the different iterations, of course, of the group as well. Some great photos that we've shared. Again, this is really good, feel good music, the kind of music that, whether you've heard it a million times or this is the first time you're hearing it, it still feels fresh, still feels really good and makes you feel good and sticks with you, sticks to the ribs. And that's what you want. We need more music and more things in our life that are pleasant and, positive and make you feel good. And you just want to have a good time. Remember we had Felix Cavalier on the show. He was amazing as well. We had Andy Cahan from the Turtles, Felix, of course, from the Rascals, Robbie Robinson, who is the music director for Frankie Valli, was on our show. All these iconic, fabulous people. And they're all similar, aren't they? They're all jovial. They're all happy. They want to entertain. They do what they do for the right reasons because of the love of the art, the love of what it is to bring people together and to make the room better than they found it, which is something I've always believed in: inspiring, lifting, entertaining, educating, leaving the room better than I found it. And if you notice, a lot of these guests, that's what they're all about. They do what they do because they have the love for it. And we are the ones who benefit from the love that they're sharing with all of us, or in our case, on our show, the love of tea. It's kind of cool, isn't it? Patty says California here. She's in California. Good to see you, Patty. You are now part of the Jim Masters Show. Lovely squad. Tell everybody you know as well about our series and go back and take a look. We have, would you believe we are inching up on almost 1,000 episodes of our series that we've done in just 3 years. We just celebrated our 3rd year anniversary. If you didn't see that episode, oh boy, extraordinary. So many incredible comments from so many fabulous people. People like, here's another music icon, Melissa Manchester.
Hi, this is Melissa Manchester. Happy 3rd anniversary, Jim Masters. I'm so happy for your achievements thus far with no end in sight. I was delighted to be invited to be on your show twice, and we had a lovely time discussing my career and achievements. And what struck me was how delightful the tone was. It was not, you were not looking for any gotcha moments. You, Jim, are interested apparently in restoring the art of conversation, and with that, the concept of levity, which I just find charming and encouraging and delightful. So I look forward to chatting with you again, dear Jim, and congratulations again for making a space where people can share their ideas, where you can ask thoughtful, probing questions to see how we're all doing on our paths, our parallel paths. So wishing you many, many more happy anniversaries. Long may levity wave, and you too. Be well.
How beautiful is that, huh? We actually have received several more of those. And Melissa, a part of our anniversary episode that we did just a couple of days ago, if you didn't see the episode, check it out. It was filled with lots of lovely interactivity and a lot of cool people, like from the Saturday Night Live band, my dear friend Christine Ullman. She's been with the Saturday Night Live band as their lead singer for over 30 years.
Hey everybody, it's Christine Ullman, the Beehive Queen from the Saturday Night Live band, here for my dear friend Jim Masters to celebrate the 3rd anniversary of the Jim Masters Show live. Over 900 episodes says it all. It's fabulous. Happy anniversary, Jim.
You know, a fresh one that just came in that we didn't have in time for the actual anniversary is the extraordinary musician, guitarist extraordinaire. He's worked many years with Paul McCartney with the group Wings. Of course, he's his own performer, is the iconic, legendary Lawrence Juber. And he just sent us these words today. So this is brand new and fresh, and I thought we'd share them with all of you.
Hey, Lawrence Juber here, with a shout out to Jim Masters on the occasion of the 3rd anniversary of his show. I really enjoyed the experience. It's great to work with an interviewer that knows their stuff, gets a good flow going, and just makes it a very enjoyable experience. So I hoped that we get an opportunity to do it again. But all the best to you on this anniversary. Cheers.
Don't you like that little end? That was incredible. We appreciate him sending those. And somebody else, too, who is responsible for some of the biggest hits and some of the most incredible music of our lives, the incomparable platinum and gold record-winning Madeline Stone, who is a dear friend of our show. She was a guest on our show as well. Again, she's responsible for so much incredible music, so many hit songs. This is a fresh one as well. Take a look.
Hi, my name is Madeline Stone. I really enjoy watching the Jim Masters Show. Jim is a great interviewer and he asks great questions. I enjoyed being on the show. In fact, I recommended several of my friends to meet Jim. It was a wonderful experience. So I'm going to be on it again. Thank you all. Bye.
She's a dear friend and a true delight, as is the incomparable Lucy Arnaz.
Hey, Jim, congratulations. That's quite a milestone. I've always enjoyed talking to you. You do a great show. Positive, optimistic, interested. You do your homework. We love being with you, and I hope we get a chance to do it again sometime. With love from Lucy Arnaz and Larry Luckenbill.
Right back at you, Lucy and Larry. Appreciate that. If you want to see many more of those, take a look at our anniversary episode, and that's archived. All the episodes are archived on our YouTube channel, Jim Masters TV. Just sprinkling in some of those fabulous ones as well. And Patty says, thank you, Jim, for bringing our music to your show. The pleasure is all mine, Patty. And Kathleen, thank you as well. And Jane and Maureen. Yes, long may lovety wave, as Melissa Manchester said so beautifully. You know, the soap opera actress Eileen Kristen also was a guest on our show many years on Ryan's Hope and all the soap operas. Brilliant actress. Still performing today, iconic TV shows, films. This is fresh as well, and she sent us these words.
Hey, Jim and everybody out there. This is Eileen Kristen. Jim, I want to congratulate you on your 3rd anniversary of your spectacular show. I really enjoyed doing it. You ask all the right questions. You really, really, really do your homework, frighteningly so. There I was, showing up as a 18-year-old in a toothpaste commercial. So you really do your work, and I hope you have many, many more years of doing what you do. And Hopefully soon, maybe I'll have something interesting to talk about again and be a guest on your show. Take care. Congratulations.
Fantastic. Brilliant actress, and many years on Ryan's Hope, the soap opera, and so many more great shows. Eileen Kristen. So we thank those folks. And again, there's many more of them. You can see them on our anniversary episode, which aired as well. I agree, Merlin. Everybody was so kind to send the blessings. They all, when I told them we were doing an anniversary show, so many people sent in. So many of our celebrity friends and guests sent in these fabulous words that they said, I hope you can air this. I hope you can show it. I want your viewers and I want folks and other guests to see this. And I was so blessed that they took the time to actually do that. And again, there's many more. You can see them. We'll sprinkle some more in as we go along, as we're, still on the heels of the third anniversary, which is really amazing. All right, gang, we're going to wrap up. I still have to have dinner, and it's almost 10 o'clock at night here. I haven't eaten yet. It's been a very, very busy day, with my professional work in television and radio, on the air, all of it. And we love you all. We really appreciate Norman Fox for spending time with us here at JMS on the Jim Masters Show Live, Entertainment, Lifestyle, Celebrity Talk Show series. He really is a great guy. I want to tell you, tomorrow we've got another iconic guest, Freddie Walker Brown, Broadway star. Yes, she's performed in some of the greatest Broadway productions of all time. She's with us tomorrow. Actress, director, writer, Broadway star Freddie Walker Brown is with us. Going to be incredible tomorrow. We look forward to that. And on Friday, Maria Christensen's going to be with us, award-winning singer-songwriter. Her music has been sung by Celine Dion and NSYNC and many of the top performers. She's also a performer as well, but her music is iconic. And again, she's going to be talking about all these artists and all these incredible people that she's written music for, who are major stars. She's with us on Friday. That's an earlier time, 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. And next week, Greg Goldstein, the mime's going to be with us. We're going to look forward to that. It's going to be interesting to see how that works out, considering he's a mime. So will there be any sound other than me? We thank Norman Fox, music legend, singer, songwriter, Norman Fox and the Robroys. We really appreciate Norman stopping by the Jim Masters Show. This was really a fantastic episode. Gang, if you enjoyed it, before you go, please do give us a thumbs up like. There's a thumbs up icon on every episode of our series. Click the thumbs up like, leave a comment for us, and do hit the subscribe button. Very, very important. We don't say it often during the show, but it is important. If you click it, doesn't cost anything. Subscribe to our channel. Help us grow. It really does help us. It helps the YouTube algorithm you hear a lot about, and which is always circulating. And when you subscribe to our channel and when you give us a thumbs up like and when you leave a comment, it really helps us continue doing what we do. As does Super Chat, Super Emoji, Super Stickers, which is something you could always do in the chat room. And anytime, 24/7, there's a heart icon called Super Thanks. That's on all of the episodes. It's a little heart right under the episode. You click that. That helps support all these hours of content, everything we're doing here at JMS. We really appreciate you being with us. Many more episodes coming up. Binge watch some of the past episodes. And we love having you with us. And whatever it is you get from our show, however often you get it, we thank you so much for all the time as well. So good stuff, gang. We love you all. Take care. Be well. We don't say goodbye around here. We say see you later. Ciao, cheers, shalom. That's shalom. Slancha. Wiedersehen. Hejda. Moy loop. Hasta la vista. Take care. Be well. Cheerio. And any others. And cool hanging with you today on this episode of the Jim Masters Show Live. Take care. Love one another. Be good to one another. Like, comment, subscribe. You can find me on all the social media platforms. You can find me at Jim Masters TV. That's Jim Masters TV on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And if you have any other, folks you'd like to see on our show, on our epic series. Guests come from all different backgrounds. Feel free. They come from Hollywood, television, film, music, stage, sports, culinary arts, science and nature, health and wellness, comedy, authors, everything, all of life. Make sure that you let us know and let them know about the Jim Masters Show. Yes, to you as well. To you as well, Merlin. I love that. Gang, we're going to take off. Time to eat. We'll see you guys on the next episode, if not sooner. Love you all. Take care and be well. And thanks for stopping by the Jim Masters Show live series. It means the world that you're here. We'll see you very soon. All right? That's a promise. Take care. Cheers.